Please stay tuned, because you're about to witness something totally new and different. If you or someone you know has been injured, whether on the job, on the highway, or by a defective product, help is available, regardless of your financial status. In the next 30 minutes, you'll find out how this toll-free number can put you in touch with one of this country's leading lawyers who can help you. Take this toll-free number down and watch closely, because if you've been injured, you do have rights, and there's no cost to you. Learn how you can protect your rights and make our legal system work for you. Be prepared by copying this number into your personal phone book, just in case. It's simple. Just call our toll-free number and one of our operators will put you in touch with the proper attorney. Please stay tuned for Law in America.
13, 12, 11, 10. We'll go for main engine start. 7, 6. We have main engine start. 3, 2, 1, 0.
From the NASA Space Center Video Library comes History in the Making. Journey with Discovery on video cassette. Carrying America's space program racing back to space. You'll be there as it happened. The launch. Liftoff. Breathtaking views from space. The perfect landing. Journey with Discovery, a continuing source of fascination for every generation of space enthusiasts. And there's only one way to experience Journey with Discovery. Call 1-800-882-0078 and receive this historical videotape, Journey with Discovery, for only $19.95. With your order, you'll also receive the U.S. Space Shuttle Glider Kit, enjoyable for the entire family, and a NASA booklet, The Shuttle Era, jammed with fascinating information about the Space Shuttle program. For your convenience, order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-882-0078, 24 hours a day. And feel the pride as America returns to space. Order your Journey with Discovery today.
Hello and welcome to Law in America. I'm Derek Partridge. Today we're going to talk about a very specialized field, product liability law. We'll also discuss what you would need to do to protect your rights if you were injured by using a defective product. To discuss these issues and how they affect you and your family, our guests today are Fred Hallstrom, a trial lawyer from Boston, Massachusetts, and the Secretary of the Massachusetts Academy of Trial Lawyers, and the Governor of the Association of Trial Lawyers of America. Joseph Awad, a trial lawyer from New York City and a lecturer on trial advocacy. Leo Hughes Jr., a trial lawyer from Baltimore, Maryland, and a past president of the Bar Association of Baltimore City, and a former governor of the Maryland State Bar Association and of the Association of Trial Lawyers of America. And Robert Verderame, a trial lawyer from Baltimore, Maryland, who was on the governor's task force studying liability insurance, as well as being a past president of the Maryland Trial Lawyers Association. Fred, let's start off by asking you to give us an overview of product liability.
Well, product liability law is something that's developed over the last 30 or 40 years. Basically, it's where a individual or a group of individuals are injured by using a product which turns out to be defective. Some examples that are probably well known to our listeners are, say, defective gas tanks in Pintos or Mustangs.
Very well known.
Ford vehicles. Other products which are well known now are IUDs, intrauterine devices made not only copper 7s, but also ones made by Delcon Shield, things of that nature. That's products liability law, and it's the way in which a person who's been victimized by that product, victimized by the company that makes that product, is able to recover personal injury damages for the injuries he suffered or she suffered as a result of having used that product in a reasonably anticipated manner. In other words, the product was made to be used and the product is being used by the person who was injured in the manner in which it was reasonably anticipated to be used, and they're injured.
Joe, another aspect of these very same laws, I think, could be said to say that it would help prevent future injuries. Would you like to enlarge on that?
Oh, sure. As a result of even a single individual bringing a products liability case, we have seen, for instance, as Fred has mentioned, we no longer have the Ford Pinto scenario of an exploding gas tank. As a result of bringing certain lawsuits and enacting legislation holding the manufacturers responsible, we see that there are better warnings on these products. One thing that the viewers should keep in mind is that a products liability case can also involve a failure to warn properly.
Well, Leo, it may sound like a simple question, but how would we know if we have been injured by a defective product as opposed to being injured by some other aspect?
It is a simple question. It's the answer that's more difficult.
Figured it might be.
The consumer recognizes a defect when he buys something that he's going to use in his everyday work, and it doesn't work. He buys a flashlight, he brings it home, he turns it on, it doesn't work. He knows he bought a defective product. It's a lot more subtle when he's buying a product that has some built-in defect or lack of safety. Foreseeable danger can be
Liftoff. Breathtaking views from space. The perfect landing. Journey with Discovery. A continuing source of fascination for every generation of space enthusiasts. And there's only one way to experience Journey with Discovery. Call 1-800-882-0078 and receive this historical videotape, Journey with Discovery, for only $19.95. With your order, you'll also receive the U.S. Space Shuttle Glider Kit, enjoyable for the entire family, and a NASA booklet, The Shuttle Era, jammed with fascinating information about the Space Shuttle program. For your convenience, order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-882-0078, 24 hours a day. And feel the pride as America returns to space. Order your Journey with Discovery today.
Hello and welcome to Law in America. I'm Derek Partridge. Today we're going to talk about how you would go about finding the right attorney and what you would need to do to protect your rights if you had the misfortune to be injured in an accident. To discuss these issues and how they would affect you and your family, our guests today are Harvey Lehrer, a trial lawyer from Los Angeles, California, and a past officer of the Los Angeles and California Trial Lawyers Associations. Joseph Awad, a trial lawyer from New York City and a lecturer on trial advocacy. Leo Hughes, Jr., a trial lawyer from Baltimore, Maryland, and a past president of the Bar Association of Baltimore City, and a former governor of the Maryland State Bar Association and the Association of Trial Lawyers of America. Robert Verderame, a trial lawyer from Baltimore, Maryland, who was on the governor's task force to study liability insurance, as well as being past president of the Maryland Trial Lawyers Association. Harvey, let's start off with you and ask you to define for our viewers personal injury, because most of us, I think, tend to think of personal injury as being purely limited to automobile accidents. I'm sure it's a lot more.
Personal injury is an area of the law where civil victims of injury are redressed. It has to do with property damage and personal injury. It's for compensation to make the person whole again, theoretically, because, you know, in our law, the only way that we can compensate people is money, to pay their bills, to pay their loss of earnings, and to pay for their property damage. And what we do is we dedicate ourselves to obtaining the justice, the compensation, fair compensation for victims of accidents.
Thank you. Bob, workers' compensation is a sort of an aspect of personal injury, but there are certain differences which I think are perhaps important for our viewers to know.
There is. It is part of personal injury work, but there are some very substantial differences. Number one, in a workers' compensation claim, a person who is injured while at work as a result of an accident is entitled to certain benefits which have been set out by the law, regardless of fault, regardless of whether he himself, the person who's been injured, is at fault, regardless of fault on the part of the employer. As long as you're injured on the job as a result of an accident, you're entitled to benefits. As opposed to if you're injured as a result of the wrong of somebody else, for example, an automobile accident, where you must prove that that person who struck you was at fault, and you must prove that you yourself were not at fault, and the amount of compensation to which you are entitled under that other element would be whatever the jury would think would be fair compensation for you.
Okay. Leo, let us say I or one of our viewers has the misfortune to be involved in an accident. What are the first things that one should do? At what point should one contact an attorney, or should one contact anyone else first? Or should one talk to the insurance company? What are the steps we should take?
Obviously, the first concern has to be your medical picture, if indeed someone is hurt. That's really first and foremost in their minds. They should see that they have the hospital care that's needed or the doctor that's needed. After that, I think the next step should be to contact your attorney or to find the proper attorney. Insurance companies traditionally have paid a lot of money to people to get out fast and try and head people off before they get to a lawyer, and there's a reason for that. They know that the people come out much better if they get a lawyer. They will learn their rights. They will not do or say something or sign something that will prevent them from getting their just due. And I think it's extremely important to the person who has the injury, as well as to the lawyer who's going to handle it, that a fast contact be made and that the process be started.
Okay. Joe, many people are perhaps a little reluctant to go to an attorney. Maybe they've never been to one before and they're a little frightened that perhaps the moment they start to talk, you punch the time clock and the dollars start running. Would you like to take us through the steps of what would happen when somebody comes to your office and give us an idea of the sort of questions that may be asked, and maybe more importantly, the sort of questions that somebody should ask but doesn't know to?
You have asked a question that I'm sure is on the minds of many of the viewers out there. First, let me say that once you have your medical under control, it is very important that you get in to see an attorney as quick as possible. And the reason for that is because the insurance industry has already put their forces into effect out there investigating your claim. Do not hesitate to call a lawyer. First, you're going to find out that in most instances, you will have a free consultation. Lawyers in our field of the practice traditionally work on a contingency fee.
Just let me interrupt just a second there, Joe. You said in most cases, a free consultation. In what cases wouldn't it be?
Well, I don't know of any cases that among my brethren that the consultation is not a free consultation, because traditionally it is a contingency fee, which means that we work for free unless we are successful in the result of the lawsuit.
So we could say that if a person is asked to pay for a consultation, they should be going somewhere else.
Well, I would suggest that a person take that with a grain of salt and get into an attorney who can certainly afford to give this injured victim their time, or if there's that attorney's staff time. Once you get into that office, you're going to find most people who are contacting a lawyer for the first time are hesitant. I cannot urge you more than to get into that office, and you will find that you will meet with a lawyer or one of his or her staff members, and it will be much like going to a doctor's office in terms that a history is going to be taken. We have to find out all of the facts as quickly as possible so that we can set our staff into work, into investigating the accident.
A lot of people are afraid of what they're going to be paying. So would somebody like to pick this one up and tell us what the contingency fee is, how it works, and what sort of amount it is? Harvey?
Yes. You know, the contingency fee, as opposed to lawyers in general, trial lawyers historically, as Joe said, work on contingency fees. And what it means is a contingency means something has to happen. And what has to happen is there has to be a recovery. So the public can feel free to call upon a trial lawyer and know that they're not going to be incurring a bill. It's only if and when the case is settled. And generally the fee runs between 25% to 40%. It depends on the nature of the case and how difficult it is. And you pay no attorney fees until the case is concluded. And traditionally also, the lawyer advances the costs. So you can find out your rights, be well protected, not incur any bill for seeing a personal injury trial lawyer, and that's who you should be dealing with.
And you can see the best, you can get the best lawyers in town for the same contingency. You could get somebody that's just out of law school.
No question. The thing that amuses me, I spent a number of years working with governor's task forces. The insurance representatives always want to do something about the contingency fee, like it's some evil. I'd be more than happy to work on an hourly rate basis, just as the insurance company lawyers do. But the clients that come to me after an accident usually don't have it, can't afford it. And the insurance representatives know that if they can do something to hurt or eliminate or in some way curtail the contingency fee, what they're really going to curtail is the claim that's going to be made, and the victim is going to be without rights. He can't afford to pay $100, $150 an hour. The insurance company attorneys frequently get $200, $250 an hour. I will offer any client the right to do that. They always elect the contingency.
Okay, for 25 years, excuse me, I've never had, I did the same thing with Leo. I've never had somebody say, I'll hire you on an hourly basis as opposed to on the contingency.
But let's take that hourly basis. We've had a figure, but what sort of fees can be run up in preparation for such a case?
Well, the beauty of the contingency fee system for the citizen out there watching is that they may obtain the best legal talent available to fight the institutions, to fight the insurer behind the particular person or party that has injured them. Because while the average citizen cannot afford $100, $200, $300 an hour, which is what insurance companies often pay their attorneys, they can get themselves to the best talent out there by contacting a lawyer that specializes or concentrates in the personal injury field.
Okay, to determine that, you're saying the best, which is very important. How does the average citizen go about determining the competency of a given attorney?
Ask the lawyer in that first consultation what is his or her experience in the area. What kind of cases have you handled that are similar to mine? What are your success rates? What resources do you have available to you to represent me? Are you and your office going to be representing me from beginning to end, or are you going to be referring me out to someone else? There's more to the trial of a case than just getting into the courtroom. You have to have the resources, the knowledge, the staff, and the ability to withstand a long process that may even go into the appellate courts.
Okay, well, let's just take a stage before that. I mean, those questions are very legitimate to that attorney, but we've got to get to the stage of reaching that attorney. Would it not be an idea to ask your ordinary family attorney as to who he would recommend if he had the need for a specialist case?
If you know who he is, if you trust him, and if you believe him, yes. I can't think of any better referral source, just as you'd go to a doctor and say, what surgeon would you recommend? You must be careful if you really don't know that lawyer, that an awful lot of lawyers will say, well, I am the best. So if you have a lawyer that you have confidence
that you trust,
look for him for a referral. Ask him, say, if your family was in some tragic injury situation, where would you go? Who would you go to?
Right now, we have to go to a break. We have to go to a break. We'll be back in just a moment with more from Law in America on how to protect your rights in the unfortunate event that you might be injured in an accident. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We're delighted you're watching Law in America, the only program created to inform and show you how to protect your rights. We'll feature some of this country's leading attorneys discussing legal issues that are important to you and your family. So if you or someone you know has been injured, whether on the job, on the highway, or at home, and needs help, call this toll-free number. Our operators will ask a few simple questions about your legal problem. Then they'll give you the name and phone number of the right attorney who can help you so you can make an informed decision. Keep this toll-free number in your personal phone book because you never know when you might need it. Remember, there is no cost to you. The phone call is free. If you or some